All right, shalom, family.
Shalom.
And welcome to another new moon, new month. As we come into this new month, which is the 7th month of Yahweh's calendar system, we're also entering into the last set of holy days for the year. And as I saw Elder's class topic today, the one law, and then I thought about my own class, I said, well, looks like Yahweh wants us to deal with law and keep dealing with law. But then I also kind of saw where I kept trying to push to make my class longer, and I guess he said, no, Elder gonna hammer it all in, and you just gonna have to smooth it over, so we don't need to keep dragging them over the coals. Anyway, tonight's topic is if it wasn't for the law. And as we go through this, we're gonna realize that if we look within ourselves, we can all see that there's concepts that we've had from we were children. I refer to them as inborn concepts of things that we found ourselves would never do. No matter what, it was just something in you that would never allow you to do certain things. And on the other side, there was things that you just did naturally that other people might have seen as a problem. But those are attributes that Yahweh already saw within you and knew what kind of servant you would be. So those are the things that we have to look at when we're looking at ourselves and judging ourselves and realize, you know what, I've always had this attribute. Even though it may have been a problem when you were younger, you realize now that, you know what, this attribute is what was necessary to be a servant for Elohim. And then there's certain attributes that you're going to have to work on to become a better servant. Inborn concepts, like he said about Jacob and Esau. He told them 2 manner of nations are within you. They weren't even born yet. So what was he looking at? In the womb, there's things going on with a child. For those of us who've ever been around a mother, put your hand on the stomach, you can see reactions. Mothers should be able to tell you the attributes of a child when it was in the womb. You've got some children that are very active. When those children come out the womb, then ask them, did that child continue to stay active? Those are attributes that were already there. There's fathers who can tell you of bonds of putting their hand on the stomach, and wherever they put their hand, the child was there touching. Even though they're in the womb and they can't see your hand, there's still some kind of connection going on. You've got women, oh, what happened? They just kicked. And you find out that them kids, you don't catch them under control, and they still kicking you after they come out the womb. So there's things that's already in you that have been there from day one. That also goes to let you know that there's certain things that no one had to teach you because you would have never done those things. So now you go back to, if it wasn't for the law, I wouldn't have known sin. So let's go ahead and cover and see what that actually means. Let's start in Romans chapter 7, and we're going to start at verse 7. Romans chapter 7 and verse 7.
What shall we say then? Is the law sin? Elohim forbid. Nay, I had not known sin, but by the law. For I had not known lust, except the law had said, Thou shalt not covet.
So let's answer that question. What shall we say then? Is the law sin? That's a question. No, the law is a guide. It's a precept. Within that guide and that precept and boundaries, it tells you when you're committing an offense, which is a sin. So the law can never be sin. The law tells you what things are sin when you go contrary to the law. Go ahead.
But sin, taking occasion by the commandment, wrought in me all manner of concupiscence. For without the law sin was dead. For I was alive without the law once, but when the commandment came, sin revived, and I died.
So, but sin, taking occasion by commandment, wrought in me all manner of concupiscence. For without the law, sin was dead. Doesn't sound like it makes any sense. sin was dead without the law because without a law, I didn't know it was sin. So therefore, no matter what I was doing, until I knew it was a law that said I couldn't do it, it was alive and kicking and going. Because nobody ever told me it was wrong. But like I said, there's people that are born with certain instincts that will never cross certain lines. But then there's others of us who need the law to say, no, this is wrong. What did he say earlier? It's the law that told me that coveting was wrong. So if the law never told him that coveting was wrong, you'd continue to walk in a covetous manner and see nothing wrong with it. Till something comes along and say, hey man, that's not right. So some of us actually need that guide, those boundaries. There's a few of us in the room that, hey, I hit the highway and do 100. I'll put the max that's under that the car can go. But it's that sign that says 55 that creates a gauge. The law created that boundary that said, you know what? If I get caught, there's penalties to pay. So we still push that, well, you know what? I ain't going to keep it at 55, but I'll do 65. Technically speaking, you're still breaking the law. Go ahead.
And the commandment, which was ordained to life, I found to be undead. For sin, taking occasion by the commandment, deceived me, and by it slew me. Wherefore the law is holy, and the commandment holy, and just, and good. Was then that which is good made death unto me? Elohim forbid. But sin, that it might appear sin, working death in me by that which is good, that sin by the commandment might become exceeding sinful.
So verse 13, was then that which is good made death unto me? What they say? Everything that's good to you is not good for you. So then the law shows you that this might be good to you, but it ain't good for you. At the end of this road is death. Go ahead.
For we know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin. For that which I do, I allow not. For what I would, that do I not. But what I hate, that do I. If then I do that which I would not, I consent unto the law that it is good.
So what we're hearing here is a battle within a man. There's a struggle going on. The man says, for that which I do, I allow not. For what I would, that do I not. So that which I know I should be doing, I don't do it. Right? What I hate, that do I. This is a battle going on. I hate this, but yet I'm doing it. This is a conflict within an individual. But the conflict gets stronger when there's boundaries that say, hey man, you know that's wrong. Or there's people telling you, hey bro, you know that's not right. Hey sis, you know that's not right. So whether you're doing it while I'm standing there or behind closed doors, you still got to deal with yourself. Go ahead.
Verse 17. Now then, it is no more I that do it, but sin that dwelleth in me. For I know that in me, that is, in my flesh, dwelleth no good thing. For to will I present with me, but how the perform that which is good I find not.
So, for I know that in me, that is sin. Right? Verse 17, now then it is no more I that do it, but sin that dwells in me. Can we all face the fact that sin is in you? This is admitting I have faults. But no, you still the one doing it though. You say, now then it is no more I that do it. No, it's you that's doing it. We like to do, man, it wasn't me. Man, the devil made me do it. No, let's face facts that sin is in you and you did it. Go ahead.
For the good that I would, I do not, but the evil which I would not, that I do.
I mean, let's really sit down. How much of us can really be honest with ourselves? For the good that I would, I do not. For the good things that I would do, I don't do it. But the evil which I would not do, that is what I do. Come on, man. This is a real conversation. The man is being real. Can we really sit down and be honest with ourselves, about ourselves, even to somebody else? Go ahead.
Now if I do that I would not, it is no more that I do it, but sin that dwelleth in me. I find then a law that, when I would do good, evil is present with me. For I delight in the law of Elohim after the inward man. But I see another law in my member, warring against the law of my mind, bringing me into captivity to the law of sin, which is in my members.
So, for I delight in the law of Elohim after the inward man. How do you know the law of Elohim? So now that the law is written, I understand what Elohim says is wrong. I understand what Elohim says is sin. I understand the law of Elohim. In my inward parts, I have the desire to fulfill the things that Elohim requires of me. But I see another law in my members, which is the lust within me that's warring against the law of my mind. So your thoughts are warring with you about the things concerning that of Elohim. So I want to do right according to what's in this book, according to what Yahweh has written down. I want to abide by these things. But I got other things that was instilled in me before I understood this. They're still plaguing me. That I'm still dealing with, that I'm still fighting with. This is honesty. What they call them AAA meetings? That's what it is? This is AAA meeting right here. But he's putting it all out. He's putting his problems out. Let's talk about it. Let's deal with it. But we'll get into these meetings, we'll get into these council sessions and be, oh man, ain't nothing really wrong. Ain't nothing I can't deal with. To thine own self be true. Go ahead.
O wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from the body of this death? I thank Elohim through Yeshua the Mashiach, our Adonai. So then, with the mind, I myself serve the law of Elohim, but with the flesh, the law of sin.
So there we go. So the mind and the flesh is fighting against itself. So that means we also have to be able to exercise the mind to make it stronger than the flesh. It's a constant battle. It's a constant war going on. Let's go to 1 Timothy chapter 1. We're going to start at verse 5. Because at the end of the day, it says we'll be judged for our very thoughts. So if we want to think that, okay, well, I didn't do it with my flesh. Okay, but if you still let that thought run rampant, you're still going to get yourself in trouble. Because the thought process of coveting first comes from the mind. And you let it go on long enough, then you're putting your hands on something that don't belong to you. So now you're going from coveting to stealing. So you see, it all begins in the mind. 1 Timothy chapter 1, and we're going to start at verse 5.
Now the end of the commandment is love out of a pure heart and of a good conscience and of faith unfeigned, from which some, having swerved, have turned aside unto vain jangling, desiring to be teachers of the law, understanding neither what they say nor whereof they affirm. But we know that the law is good, if a man use it lawfully, knowing this, that the law is not made for a righteous man, but for the lawless and disobedient, for the ungodly and for sinners, for unholy and profane, for murderers of fathers and murderers of mothers, for manslayers, for whoremongers, for them that defile themselves with mankind, for manstealers, for liars, for perjured persons, and if there be any other thing that is contrary to sound doctrine.
So we kind of went through some stuff earlier today where Elder showed you what some things were allegedly said or written, and then we went to the book to see what the book actually says. So, and what we went and looked at is that it was contrary to what? Sound doctrine. So if it's contrary to sound doctrine, then it's sin. Verse 9, knowing this, that the law is not made for a righteous man. Because a righteous man has a concept already inborn in him that he's not going to do certain things. That's what I was talking about earlier. If you look within yourselves, you will see that you've always had some type of gauge in you that there's certain boundaries you just will not cross. Inborn concepts. The law is not for a righteous man. It's the sinner, the whoremonger, the murderers, the adulterers, the liars who need the gauge to be able to stop them from going but so far, to keep them on a path. A priest in his prayer said, this journey, this walk is not easy. But if you walk in these concepts, in these precepts, it should become easier. If it's not becoming easier, then you need to examine yourself. Because as this becomes natural, it should become easier. And when those around you see the way you're walking, those same people who may not be walking with you will keep you in line. So at the beginning of the journey, you should say the walk is not easy. But the more you walk, the easier it should become. We see children as they're learning to walk, first learning to stand, they fall. And then eventually they get to a point where they're off and running. Now, at our age, if I ask the question, so how hard was it to learn to walk? None of us can't answer that question. Unless you just went through some rehab to learn how to re-walk again. None of us cannot answer the question of how hard it was for us to learn to walk. Because we've been doing it so long, it is natural instinct. Same thing with this walk. 5, 10, 15, 20 years into it, if you're still saying the walk is hard, then you really need to examine yourself. Go ahead.
Verse 11. According to the glorious gospel of the blessed Elohim, which was committed to my trust, I thank the Mashiach Yahshua, our Adonai, who hath enabled me, for that he counted me faithful, putting me into the ministry, who was before a blasphemer, a persecutor, and injurious, but I obtained mercy because I did it ignorantly in unbelief. And the grace of our Adonai was exceeding abundant with faith and love, which is the Mashiach Yahshua. This is a faithful saying, and worthy of all acceptance, that the Mashiach Yahshua came into the world to save sinners, of whom I am chief.
So he's explaining to you that I'm the chief sinner. But now let's back up. Who was before a blasphemer and a persecutor and injurious, but I obtained mercy. He never said I was a liar. He never said I was a murderer. He never said I was an adulteress. I was a blasphemer. I was a blasphemer when it came to the belief of Yahshua HaMashiach. Outside of that, this man knew the law. He thought he was keeping the law. But he learned something. Because I was a blasphemer, I became injurious to those who was walking this way. I caused injury unto them. I persecuted them that walked in this manner, that I blasphemed. That was his sin. Guess what? But now when his eyes were open and he understood some things, he can now say, of whom I'm chief sinner. Now when you look at him saying, I'm chief sinner, but you would probably say, but he didn't kill nobody, he wasn't no murderer. But you are a murderer in the sense, if you're blaspheming the name of Yahshua, is that not character assassination? Because you didn't understand that. You were persecuting people. He actually stood by while Stephen was murdered. But what did he say? I did it ignorantly. I didn't understand certain things. But now I understand. I've amended my ways. But I still understand that what I did was sin. And I'll spend the rest of my life doing what's necessary to pay for this sin. My deeds, my works are going to be put forth to make sure that I can atone for these sins that I did over here on this side, now that I have knowledge. Priest, can you read the definition for law there for me, please?
Law, G3551. Nomos.
So this is the Greek definition.
Nomos, from a primary word, nemo, to partial out, especially food or grazing to animals. Law, through the idea of prescriptive usage, generally regulation.
Regulations, right? 55 miles per hour is a regulation. That is law. Stop is a regulation. That is law. But go ahead, specifically what?
Specifically of Moshe, including the volume also of the gospel, or figuratively, a principle, law.
So this is the Greek definition. The Greeks are Caucasians. But the Greek definition is also telling you law comes of that which was given to Moshe. Right? So even in the Greek definition, it goes back to specifically of Moshe, including the volume. What's the volume? The Torah. That's where you get your law. Give me the next definition, please, priest.
Law, H1881, Dath, from Brown Drivers Briggs. Definition, first one, decree, law, edict, regulation, usage. 1A, decree, edict, commission. 1B, law, rule.
So it's also a rule, right? This is the rule. These are Yahweh's rules. These are his regulations. Can you give me the definition for sin also, please?
Sin, G266. Hamartia, from G264. Sin, properly, abstract. Offense, sin, sinful.
So sin is an offense. An offense against what? The law. All right. Give me the next definition, please. That was the Greek definition.
Hebrew, H7846. Set, I guess that's how you pronounce it. From H7750. A departure from right, that is, sin. Revolter, that turn aside.
So in the definition, in the Hebrew definition for sin, a departure from right. So if you depart from that which is right, that is sin. Right, righteous. Within righteous, you got right. Okay. So it says, the law was not created for a righteous man, for a right man. So the righteous man is always trying to do that which is right. A revolter, what are you revolting against? The law. That turn aside from what? The law. Which then is sin. Let's go to Genesis chapter 4. In Genesis chapter 4, we're going to look at the hearts of men. Just like I stated before, some of us have inborn concepts that would never allow you to do certain things. But then there's also that thought process, if well, they did it and got away with it, why can't I do it too?
Yes, sir.
Which is what? Coveting. We didn't see that as coveting, huh? Genesis chapter 4, and we're going to start at verse 16.
And Cain went out from the presence of Yahweh, and dwelt in the land of Nod, on the east of Eden. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived, and bare Enoch. And he built a city, and called the name of the city after the name of his son, Enoch. And unto Enoch was born Irad, and Irad begot Mahuliel, and
Methusael. Methusael.
I don't see no T, but
Oh, I'm sorry, Mahuliel. You were right.
Hey,
Hey,
Mahuliel.
you got that one right. Hey.
Mahuliel begot Methusael, and Methusael begot Lamech. And Lamech took unto him 2 wives, and the name of the one was Adah, and the name of the other Zilhah. And Adah bare Yabal. He was the father of such as dwell in tents, and of such as have cattle. And his brother's name was Ubal. He was the father of all such as handle the harp and organ. And Zilhah, she also bare Tubal-Cain, the instructor of every artificer in brass and iron. And the sister of Tubal-Cain was Naamah. And Lamech said unto his wives, Adah and Zilhah, hear my voice, ye wives of Lamech, hearken unto my speech, for I have slain a man to my wounding, and a young man to my hurt. If Cain shall be avenged 7-fold, truly Lamech 70 and 7-fold.
So, do we understand there's some bit of boastfulness in this? And Lamech said unto his wives, Adah and Zillah, hear my voice, you wives of Lamech, hearken unto my speech, for I have slain a man to my wounding, and a young man to my hurt. If Cain shall be avenged 7-fold, truly Lamech 70 and 7-fold. What is in your heart to think that if Cain got a pass, I'm going to be good too? 5 generations later, this is of the seed of Cain. He is of the seed of Cain. But 5 generations later, he is using what Cain did and saying, hey, if he got pardoned, I'm good. So 5 generations later, what does that also mean? The knowledge of what Cain did was in the family history. They understood 5 generations later what Cain did. It wasn't a secret. So who kept talking about it then? Because Cain was put out the garden, and Cain was so, I'm going to be put out of your face, and da-da-da-da-da, blah, 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 and anybody finding me, da-da-da-da-da. So who kept telling the story? Who kept it going? Because most of the times when you're ashamed of something, you don't tell nobody. That's what they call it's going to be in the closet and going to die with me. But somebody kept talking about it. If he was in the garden and put out the garden and Abel's dead, they said dead man tells no tales, right? So who kept telling the story? But let's see what he was referring to. Read Genesis 4 and 15. Let's see exactly what Lamech is talking about.
And Yahweh said unto him, Therefore, whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold.
So what did Lamech refer to? He said, if Cain shall be avenged sevenfold, this is what Yahweh said. So he didn't turn around and said, if Cain shall be avenged sevenfold, truly Lamech 70 and 70-fold. So that means that he think that he done fall under some cloak that was given to Cain. Surely, if Cain shall be avenged sevenfold, truly Lamech 70 and 7-fold. Somebody sound like they done got brave in there sinning and thinking that this is perpetual and we got covered. I'm good, because if he got 70, if he got 7, I'm surely good for 70. So we see how laws and principles have to be put into place to guide the unrighteous. Because obviously this is not the speech of a righteous man. Not to come that hardy to his 2 wives. Surely I'm going to be avenged 70 and 70-fold. So that inborn concept, that fear of doing wrong was not in him. 5 generations later, this story is being passed on about this mark that was given to Cain. At some point, people tend to feel comfortable in their wrongdoings. And we read those things earlier. As time goes on, these people who were born in this place don't understand that they're occupiers. They now truly believe that they are the people. And the atrocities that we see are because of things that they've been allowed to get away with. So as you are allowed to get away with certain things, then you get more emboldened to continue to do those things. That's why Yahweh had to let us know that I will not continue to put up with your foolishness. I'm not going to sit idly by and let you do these things. You know the heart of a stranger. You are once strangers. What is he trying to do? He's trying to tap into your own self-conscious, into your own self-awareness and say, look within yourselves. Man, come on, you went through this. Why would you put somebody else through it? That's why I don't understand even our entertainers who, when they said that they had to go through this to create a way or to be where they're at, I paid my dues, you're going to have to pay your dues too. Why would you do that to somebody else? Where is your heart, your conscience? Did you like it when you went through it? And even if you did like it, why do you think somebody else wants to go through that? But obviously you know you didn't like it if you're drugging people. If you're having to blackmail them, then you know they're not willing participants. Because obviously you must have got blackmailed too for you to understand why you're blackmailing them. Why would you put somebody through something that you yourself did not like? But we see those atrocities being done. Where is the heart? Where's the conscience? Where is the righteous man? There's something wrong. People are not judging themselves. But we as a people have to do better. There's certain things that used to happen when somebody said somebody did something foul. They'll say, I know it ain't one of us. You can't say that anymore. Because what? We have forgotten the heart of the stranger. We have really picked up the when in Rome, do as the Romans do thought process. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 18. Leviticus chapter 18 and start at verse 1 for me, please.
Mm-hmm. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, I am Yahweh, your Elohim. After the doing of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, shall you not do, and after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall you not do, neither shall you walk in their ordinances. You shall do my judgments, and keep my ordinances, to walk therein. I am Yahweh your Elohim. You shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, which if a man do, he shall live in them. I am Yahweh. None of you shall approach to any that is near of kin to him to uncover their nakedness. I am Yahweh.
Now, let's understand something. He says, after the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein you dwelt, shall you not do, meaning you lived there, you saw what they did, you know how they operate. Don't do it. We're in Egypt again. Don't do what you've seen them do. You know what they do. But in case you don't know, or you want to pretend like you don't know, let me go ahead and break it down and explain it to you. Go ahead.
The nakedness of thy father, or the nakedness of thy mother, shalt thou not uncover. She is thy mother, thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. The nakedness of thy father's wife shalt thou not uncover. It is thy father's nakedness. The nakedness of thy sister, the daughter of thy father, or daughter of thy mother, whether she is born at home or born abroad, even their nakedness thou shalt not uncover. The nakedness of thy son's daughter, or of thy daughter's daughter, even their nakedness thou shalt not uncover. For theirs is thine own nakedness. The nakedness of thy father's wife's daughter, begotten of thy father, she is the sister.
She is your sister.
She is your sister. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy father's sister. She is thy father's near kinswoman. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy mother's sister, for she is thy mother's near kinswoman. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy father's brother. Thou shalt not approach to his wife. She is thy aunt. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy daughter-in-law. She is thy son's wife. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy brother's wife. It is thy brother's nakedness. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of a woman or her daughter, neither shalt thou take her son's daughter or her daughter's daughter to uncover her nakedness, for they are her near kinswoman. It is wickedness. Neither shalt thou take a wife to her sister to vex her, to uncover her nakedness, beside the other in her lifetime.
So we're listening to all this uncover of nakedness, right? And earlier we talked about the thoughts of the mind, where your thought comes from first before you go and covet something. But nowadays, you ain't got to uncover. They uncovered. So if you're not exercising your brain power, you can go cross from seeing the nakedness to now coveting something that don't belong to you. You ain't uncovering it. Now they're uncovering themselves. The society we live in does not make easy for a righteous man to be righteous. But as you're walking the walk and you understand these are laws, as you're understanding these laws and you apply these laws, should make it easier for a righteous man to walk. Because now you're understanding what Yahweh says is sin. This is law. Go ahead.
Verse 19. Also, thou shalt not approach unto a woman to uncover her nakedness, as long as she is put apart for her uncleanness. Moreover, thou shalt not lie carnally with thy neighbor's wife, to defile thyself with her. And thou shalt not let any of thy seed pass through the fire to Moloch, neither shalt thou profane the name of thy Elohim. I am Yahweh. Thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind. It is abomination. Neither shalt thou lie with any beast to defile thyself therewith. Neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie down thereto. It is confusion. Defile not yourselves in any of these things, for in all these the nations are defiled, which I cast out before you.
All the nations that he cast out before you was defiled in this. And I recently had a conversation with someone about this whole thing. Is like, we like to look at a lot of things and say, well, the Gentiles was doing this. No, we in this generation have come to see that the Gentiles have been doing this. But when he started this, he said what? After the doings of Egypt. We've come in and gotten used to these thought processes or the thought process and the doing of the Gentiles. But hey, Egyptians and Canaanites was doing this. And the lands he threw out from before us wasn't Gentiles. The nations he threw out before us wasn't Gentile nations. Just think about that for a moment. All right, priest, go ahead.
And the land is defiled. Therefore, I do visit the lawlessness thereof unto it, upon it. And the land itself vomiteth out her inhabitation.
Her inhabitants.
Thank you, Kish. Inhabitants. Ye shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, and shall not commit any of these abominations, neither any of your own nation, nor any stranger that sojourneth among you. For all these abominations have the men of the land done, which were before you, and the land is defiled. That the land spew not you out also, when you defile it, and it spew out the nations that were before you.
So, allegedly, what we read today, as long as these are of other nations per some people, these things were okay to do to other nations as long as it wasn't one of their own. But if you, the people that Yahweh was talking to when he gave out these laws, statutes, and judgments, then if you're these people, then you're walking in sin then, aren't you? Go ahead.
For whosoever shall commit any of these abominations, even the souls that commit them, shall be cut off from among their people. Therefore shall you keep my ordinance, that you commit not any of these abominable customs, which were committed before you, and that you defile not yourselves therein. I am Yahweh your Elohim.
All right, let's go to Colossians chapter 2. This is one of those that we read all the time. And although we're going to read it, it's one of them that I still just want to look at it while we're reading it. Colossians chapter 2, and we're going to read verse 16.
Let no man therefore judge you in meat, or in drink, or in respect of an holy day, or of the new moon, or of the Sabbath days.
Read verse 17.
Which are a shadow of things to come, but the body of the Mashiach.
The body is of the Mashiach. So verse 16 says, let no man therefore judge you in meat, or in drink, or in respect of an holy day, or of the new moon, or of the Sabbath days. Okay? And we've had many of our preachers, those that look like you and I, continue to go over this and throw this out there and jump all over this and repeat it and regurgitate it to our people like it's something great. But I want you to understand this is Colossians. When Saul is saying this, he is saying this to Gentiles. This does not apply to us. You will be judged. You are being judged. This did not apply to our people. He was speaking to Gentiles. This does not and did not apply to us. So yes, you are being judged. You will be judged. Let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink or in respect of an holy day or of the new moon or of the Sabbath days. But he goes on to let them know, which are a shadow of things to come for them. The time will come when you will have to adhere to these things. But as of right now, it ain't your issue. But it does become your issue if you go get circumcised. That one verse there is killing our people, because it's mostly our people that are jumping all over this. And why are these priests out there jumping all over it? Because they know the Hebrews are in town. These Israelites keep talking about this. And I want y'all to feel comfortable that what these Hebrew Israelites are saying don't have nothing to do with y'all. Okay. Believe that if you want to. These were Gentiles. These were not Hebrew Israelites. This has and always will have consequences on us as a people. But let's go ahead and hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Psalms chapter 81. Psalms chapter 81, and let's start at verse 1.
Sing aloud unto Elohim our strength. Make a joyful noise unto Elohim of Jacob. Take a psalm and bring hither the timbrel, the pleasant harp with the psaltery. Blow up the trumpet in the new moon, in the time appointed, on our solemn feast day. For this was a statute for Israel, and a law of Elohim of Jacob.
So back to what we just read. Colossians 2:16, let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink or in respect of an holy day or of the new moon or of the Sabbath days. Psalms 81 just said, blow up the trumpet in the new moon. That's verse 3. In the time appointed on our solemn feast days. For this was a statute for Israel and a law of the Elohim of Jacob. Like I said, that statement in Colossians chapter 2 did not apply to Israel. Go ahead.
This he ordained in Joseph for a testimony when he went out through the land of Egypt, where I heard a language that I understood not. I removed his shoulder from the burden, his hands were delivered from the pots. Thou calledst in trouble, and I delivered thee. I answered thee in the secret place of thunder. I proved thee at the waters of Meribah. Selah, hear, O my people, and I will testify unto thee, O Israel, if thou wilt hearken unto me. There shall no strange god be in thee, neither shalt thou worship any strange god. I am Yahweh thy Elohim, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt. Open thy mouth wide, and I will fill it. But my people would not hearken to my voice, and Israel would none of me. So I gave them up unto their own hearts' lusts, and they walked in their own counsels.
What does that mean? You created your own laws and your own ways and your own doings. Because you didn't want to follow my laws, statutes, and judgments. So what? I gave you over to what you want to do. But you're still going to be judged. You're still going to have to pay the price. Go ahead.
Oh, that my people had hearkened unto me, and Israel had walked in my ways. I should soon have subdued their enemies, and turned my hand against their adversaries. The haters of Yahweh should have submitted themselves unto him, but their time should have endured forever. He should have fed them also with the finest of wheat, and with honey out of the rock should I have satisfied thee.
So point blank, plain and simple, had we just followed Yahweh's law, statutes, judgments, and commandments, he would have taken care of us. I heard it said earlier, oh, Yahweh will give you the desires of your heart. Yep, and he'll turn you over to the desires of your heart, and you'll pay the price for it later. So do you really want the desires of your heart, or do you want the desires that Yahweh has for you? The desires of your heart to get you killed. But let's consider that. As a people, if it wasn't for the law, I wouldn't have known sin. So let's go ahead and continue to meditate in the law so we can understand what sin is, so we can walk righteously. We're in the 7th month. It's also stated that we're supposed to go over the laws every 7 years. Maybe that's what this time is. Maybe that's why we had 2 classes dealing with law. Who knows why Yahweh put together the way he put this all together. But we give him all thanks and all praise and hallelujah, and enjoy your new moon. Shalom, family.
Shalom.